Breaking! Steven Crowder releases pages out of the Nashville shooter's manifesto. Mainstream media has intentionally suppressed them, the government has suppressed them, and big tech is currently trying to suppress. Steven Crowder's reporting on them. There is some fishy stuff going on, and this is a hate crime against white people. Let's take a look. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friends, where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters as we pursue truth. Maybe I should add that to the tagline now. So, you probably remember the Nashville trans school shooter back in April. This piece of garbage of a human trans shooter goes in and kills, I believe, 6 children. An absolute atrocious act. What followed? The Nashville Police Department said, we're going to release the shooter's manifesto very soon. That's been over 6 months ago. It has not been released. The FBI has intervened and said, don't release this. Even though the FBI had no jurisdiction, and the FBI refused to take jurisdiction because the FBI said this is not a hate crime. But when you hear what you're about to hear, you'll see this is clearly a hate crime, and clearly a hate crime against white people. And that makes it make sense why the FBI, the Tennessee governor, the Tennessee Police Department, the Biden administration, and now big tech have been actively trying to suppress this. Very important to realize these pages were leaked, not released, because there is an active attempt to suppress the truth of this matter so that this woke narrative of white people bad can continue. On Steven Crowder's live Rumble show, he released the pages. I'll show you the tweet highlighting it, then we'll get into the details. But also just know this broke the internet. You can see here, at one point, Steven Crowder on Rumble had over 200,000 live viewers. My Rumble show, Lies You Can Trust, every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m., does really well on Rumble. Oftentimes we have 6,000 or 7,000, sometimes even 9,000 live viewers concurrently, which is super good for Rumble. Steven Crowder blows us out of the water with 200,000 live viewers at a time. His show, it just started 5 hours ago. It's now ended, and it's got 750,000 views, which is really absurdly good for Rumble. So people are interested in this. Let's take a look at Crowder's tweet, giving the quick highlights of this. Breaking: Nashville school Covenant shooter, I'm not going to say her piece of garbage's name. Covenant shooter, Death Day manifesto targeted crackers with white privileges. And also the manifesto goes on to say, want to kill all you little crackers. I hope I have a high death count. I'm ready. I hope my victims aren't ready to die. This is pure evil. Pure evil. You'd think this is evil. Let's let the truth of this come out. And not only has the authorities that be not pushed this truth out, they have actively suppressed it while pushing people away who are pursuing this truth. Absolutely absurd. So the summary of what Steven Crowder reported on about the Nashville Shooters Manifesto, which, by the way, just me saying that here, if you're watching this on YouTube, that's probably going to get this video either suppressed, shadow banned, or deleted off YouTube. But we're here about truth, not censorship. More on that censorship in a minute by big tech. But first, the Daily Wire has a nice summary of what Steven Crowder reported. Nashville shooter decried crackers and white privilege. Leaked manifesto pages reveal. Again, have to stress, these pages were leaked, not released. They are trying to withhold them. The transgender identifying killer who murdered 6 people at a Christian school in Nashville was consumed by leftist radical hatred targeting whites as privilege, according to 3 pages of the shooter's diary released by podcaster Steven Crowder on Monday. Now, by the way, these words, the shooter was consumed by leftist radical hatred. That's important to note. I don't like doing videos on this kind of garbage because it's evil. I don't find the details of it interesting whatsoever. I only want to do a video on this or things like it when there's an actual message, a meaning, and a lesson to learn from. The lesson of this whole experience with this transgender Nashville shooter is this. He, she, it was consumed by leftist radical hatred. The leftist radical hatred that we see just corrupting the narrative throughout our country. It comes straight from our government. It comes straight from globalists. Comes straight from woke DEI companies. This is, at least in part, a result of that leftist radical narrative. It used to be when I was a kid. We'll get back to the story in a second. When I was a kid, they'd say like, oh, JP, don't watch those shows. It's too much violence. That's going to corrupt your mind. And, I think that's actually true. That was child's play compared to what's going on in the media today for kids' minds, adult minds. But we see this Nashville school shooter. When we take a deeper look at the manifesto pages in just a second, they were absolutely brainwashed, consumed, and acted out this radical leftist ideology. And in part, it is the media's fault. It is the corrupt leftist Biden administration's fault. 100%. Let's go on. Manifesto says, kill those kids. Those crackers going to private fancy schools with those fancy khakis, sports backpacks with their daddy's Mustangs and convertibles. The 28-year-old female shooter wrote in a diary entry dated February 3rd, a couple months before the shootings. I wish to shoot you weak-ass dicks with your mop yellow hair. Want to kill all you little crackers. Bunch of little... You can see that word. That's an ugly word. With your white privileges, she wrote. Now, how mentally deranged is this? This is a white person feeling this way and writing this way and acting out this evil on other white people. This is how sick the leftist radical narrative is. It's getting white people to be racist against white people. It's also attempting other races to get racist against white people. I mean, obviously this shooter's mentally deranged, but she's not the only one who believes this. The idea that you are a white person and you hate white people. Do you ever look in the mirror? And of course, anyone who is white, who hates other white people, of course, has loathing self-hatred. But if they don't have the courage to work on that, they project it out and we see it. The tracks are greased with the oily virus of the narrative. Daily Wire report continues. 3 photographs of the pages of the shooter's diary were obtained by Crowder, who reported that his investigative team independently confirmed the authenticity of the images. The Daily Wire sources have also confirmed the authenticity of the images. And here are the images. Very ugly, dark, evil. I cannot comprehend how this can come out of a human being, but it did. And of course, what the media doesn't want to remind you of, what part of what they're trying to suppress, they're suppressing this manifesto, also trying to suppress the reality that this is hate against white people, also suppressing the reality that this was clearly a mentally ill transgender person. The diary entries also revealed her schedule for death day, beginning at 7 a.m., get dressed, ending after 12:30 p.m. with time to die, and luckily enough, time to die happened for her. I hope I have a high death count, ready to die, ha ha ha. This is well written by the Daily Wire. The musings reflect the envy for stable, productive society that is targeted as dominant and privileged by the critical race theory espoused in many public schools, in the media, in Hollywood, Biden administration. The shooter, who the Daily Wire is not naming, which I love, I'm not naming this nutcase either, boasted to a friend before the shooting that she had left plenty of evidence behind, making her motives clear. That friend might notify the police next time. Nashville's police acknowledged this fact after the shooting. Here's where the corruption gets corrupt, the suppressing of this truthful, factual information, the realities of it, the manifesto of it. Here's where that plot thickens like a Pfizer blood clot. After the shooting, Nashville Police Chief John Drake promised Republican Governor Bill Lee that the manifesto would be soon released, half a year ago. Over it. The Covenant shooting was a tragedy beyond comprehension. The Tennesseans need clarity. We've been in touch with the Nashville Police Department, and today Chief Drake assured me that documents and information regarding the shooter will be released to the public very soon, Governor Lee said on April 27th. But Drake broke that promise. For the better part of a year, Nashville's police department refused to release the manifesto, citing a series of contradictory excuses. Yeah, that's called corrupt suppression. We don't want the truth to get out because if people know the truth, it's less easy for us to manipulate them. A spokeswoman for Lee ignored the Daily Wire's inquiries about Lee's response to the broken promise over the course of this year. Goes on. The Metropolitan Police Department and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation denied open records requests from the Daily Wire, the Tennessee Star, and other outlets, citing that it was an ongoing investigation, even though the shooter was dead. The Star and others sued, and the police department then claimed it could not release the manifesto because it was the subject of litigation. Here's where that plot thickens like a Pfizer blood clot. A catch-22, given that the litigation was about its refusal to release the manifesto. We'd almost think that they don't want people to know the truth. The truth that this was hatred towards white people. This is a hate crime. It's ugly. A hate crime towards anybody, any race. It's ugly. Yet it's the truth. A Nashville judge later allowed parents of the Covenant attendees to intervene in the open records lawsuit to claim that releasing the manifesto would traumatize their children, even though attorney Rob Harvey, who represents two plaintiffs, said the parents are not crime victims under the law and that their concerns are only speculative since they don't know what's contained in the records of the manifesto. And the corruption gets even worse. Tennessee law enforcement authorities also claim they were asked by the FBI not to release the manifesto. By the FBI, that weaponized arm of the federal government, the Biden administration, the FBI asked the Tennessee police not to release it? Okay. Even though in another catch-22, the FBI said it was not terrorism, and therefore the FBI had no jurisdictions. The writings may raise questions about why the killing of school children, apparently based on their race, via the shooter's own words, was not considered a hate crime by the FBI. The shooter and the children she targeted based on their race were white. Interesting, FBI. Interesting. So what we see there, we see the Tennessee police, Tennessee governor, we see certainly the media in general not calling like this is, not demanding the manifesto to be released, and we certainly see the FBI getting involved to suppress this. That hate crime is not a hate crime. Those were white people. We're glad they're dead. Okay, diversity, equity, inclusion. That is corrupt beyond belief. Is that where the corruption in this case ends? Unfortunately not. Big tech is now involved. I mentioned this all came out on Steven Crowder's huge broadcast on Rumble. So take a look at one of Steven Crowder's recent tweets. Breaking! Google is now censoring Nashville Manifesto. So when you go on Google to search about the Nashville Manifesto, because Steven Crowder reported this, so his work as well as others reporting on his work all across the internet, Google is not letting you search that term. What Google says back to you is, it looks like the results below are quickly changing quickly. If this topic is new, it can sometimes take time for reliable sources to publish information. I don't think that's true, Google. Did we learn through the Twitter files that the Biden administration has a heavy hand in using big tech to censor? Yes, we did. But, is Google the only arm of big tech that the Biden administration uses to censor Americans, both their speech and their pursuit of truth? Nope, because get this. Follow-up tweet by Steven Crowder. Breaking! Facebook is now censoring the Nashville Manifesto. In his post that came up, your post may go against our community standards on violence and incitement. No, you're trying to suppress the truth. You're trying to hide people from this reality. Facebook, Google, which owns YouTube, and here we are on this video, YouTube, but hopefully you're watching me on Rumble. If not, please subscribe to my Rumble channel, Awaken with JP on Rumble. So this is huge news what Crowder released, but I think as big as Crowder's release of this news is equally as big the censorship of big tech as well as the FBI and the Nashville police, Nashville governor. I think that is as equally as big of a story that they're trying to suppress this. They don't want people to know the truth. Why? Because it seems as though they have an agenda that they're not being honest about. And lastly, this means nothing, but it's entertaining and it's linked to the story. I'll show you a tweet from the Daily Wire CEO, Jeremy Boring. Set the context. You might remember earlier this year, the Daily Wire offered Steven Crowder a very big contract, $50 million. Steven Crowder was kind of offended by the terms of the deal, made a big public video about it, and it was, Wasn't the kind of video I would make, certainly. And then Jeremy Boring made a rebuttal video to that, like, hey, Crowder secretly recorded one of our conversations and that's not right, but let me show you the terms of the deal. There's nothing we think is unfair here. So again, this is just interesting. In response to Crowder breaking this news, which by the way, the Daily Wire did a great write-up about Steven Crowder's reporting that we just saw. But Jeremy Boring tweets out this earlier today. Crowder is a dishonest, spiteful, narcissistic scumbag who even in his victories can't help but portray most everyone else doing good work in our space, including those who have sued for the release of this manifesto, like the TN Star, as somehow not sufficiently pure or dedicated or conservative. His no true Scotsman shtick is offensive and tired, but credit where credit is due. He landed a huge and important scoop here. Yeah, I wouldn't make that tweet myself, but it's just fun that Jeremy felt he needed to tweet that out. And by the way, for that matter, if I were to take Crowder's position here, these pages were leaked, not released. So Boring mentions like the TN Star who have sued for its release. Them suing for its release hasn't been effective yet. So in my opinion, Crowder doesn't really owe them any credit here. But credit where credit is due with Jeremy Boring with a knifing tweet into Steven Crowder as he releases a huge story that pisses off Facebook, Google, probably the federal government, certainly the FBI. That's the deal here. The Nashville school shooter is a piece of evil garbage doing evil things, the same evil things that the radical leftist narrative is propagating to people and kids around the world, and especially in America, every single day. We need to protect children from these evil leftist radical narratives, and that is a job for parents who should be the protectors of their children. JP is out. Thank you for watching this video, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. I'll talk to you next time, but before that, please stay tuned for this special message. I believe health equals freedom, and that's why I started Awaken CBD, because I want to help support the viewers of this channel, myself and my family, with the most important element of freedom there possibly could be. Your health. With Awaken CBD, I am proud to bring you the highest quality CBD in terms of potency and purity available on the market. Personally, I love using CBD to help my sleep and ultimately give me more energy, help me recover from bumps and bruises, aches and pains, and help me relax from the daily stress going on. Now, I'll tell you this, I think there is immense power in good habits done consistently. And when they are, I call those my freedom rituals. And taking CBD is one of my freedom rituals that I absolutely love. And if you'd love to bring a freedom ritual into your life with Awaken CBD, I'd invite you to check out our full line of products, including full spectrum CBD oil, CBD gummies, sleep gummies, and also introducing Nano CBD. And if you'd like to bring a freedom ritual into your life with Awaken CBD, I'd invite you to check out our subscribe and save option. It ensures the CBD products that you want are delivered to you regularly, so you never miss a day with your freedom ritual and you don't have to think about it. You save money on your order, you get free shipping, exclusive perks, and you can cancel anytime. To sign up for subscribe and save, just go to awakencbd.com. I appreciate you, my friend.